Hello authors, I'm Joanne Morrell, children's and young adult fiction writer and author of short non-fiction for authors. Thanks for joining me for the Hybrid Author podcast, sharing interviews from industry professionals to help you forge a career as a hybrid author, both independently and traditionally publishing your books. You can get the show notes for each episode and sign up for your free author pass over at the Hybrid Author website to discover your writing process, get tips on how to publish productively, and get comfortable promoting your books at www.hybridauthor.com.au. Let's crack on with the episode. Hello authors, I hope you're all keeping well and working hard on your writing adventure. In today's episode, we have an interview with picture book author Sharon Giltrow, and she's going to be chatting to us about book reviews and how traditional representation helps authors score reviews for their books, as well as what a good book review looks like to an author, and her tips and tricks on how to score reviews independently. So in my author adventure, right now it's the school holidays and Easter break. I'm recording this. If you're picking up lots of weird sounds, there's planes going overhead, someone's drilling in the background, there's loads of kids running around. I'm in my caravan with my family away for the Easter break, and I'm currently balancing my laptop on my knee while I'm recording this. I haven't even got my microphone. This is from my phone, so hopefully the quality is not too bad. I'm in the toilet with the curtain sort of drawn across. It's actually not a bad little sound room, I think. So this is where I'm recording the intro for the episode this week. But in my personal update, I've kind of went off course and had a bit of inspiration for a little picture book which I've put together, and I plan on putting it into there's a opportunity at the moment for Squibby members, which is the Society of Children's Authors, the Society of Children's Book Writers and Illustrators, which I'm a member of in Australia. And it's open from Larrikin, which is a publishing house in the East Coast, just to Squibby members only, for picture books and graphic novels. And I just had this idea and I've sort of constructed this little picture book and I'm quite happy with it. It's cute and funny and quirky, and I had a writer friend critique it, and I've got 2 sentences to sort that, and then I'm going to put that in. My formatting goal has fallen by the wayside yet again from my deadline that I had. The lady who I usually do the business consulting with actually failed to attend the meeting, and I just kind of have fallen off doing that, but I need to get back into those formats again and keep going with that, because effectively those books are ready and I'm leaving money on the table by not having them out there ready to go. But maybe I just needed a break or something, because it was fun to sort of switch gears and do something fun. So I have still been productive in a different way. So you can now support the podcast if any of the episodes I've put out have helped further your author adventure in some way and you'd like to pay it forward. You can do so now over at Buy Me a Coffee, which is www.buymeacoffee.com/thehybridauthor. And a couple of bucks, you can buy me a cup of joe to say thanks. That's enough from me. Let's crack on with the episode. Sharon Giltrow grew up in South Australia, the youngest of 8 children, surrounded by pet sheep and fields of barley. She now lives in Perth, Western Australia, with her husband, 2 children, and a tiny dog. Sharon has taught for all of her career, previously a teacher of children who are hearing impaired and deafblind. She now teaches young children with developmental language disorder. Her humorous debut picture book, Bedtime Daddy, released May 2020 through EK Books. Sharon's humorous follow-up picture book is Get Ready Mama, and it's due to be released through EK Books in April of this year. Welcome to the Hybrid Author podcast, Sharon.
Thank you, Jo, and thank you for having me.
It's wonderful to have you, so thanks for coming on. How is it you came to be a writer and write in the children's fiction genre?
Well, I've always liked English. It was probably my favourite subject at school, so I've always been writing, but that was more assignments from teachers. But to get into the children's genre, when my first child was born, my daughter was born in 2006, you have a lot of time in the middle of the night where you're awake thinking about things. So I was just thinking about picture book ideas then and thought, oh, it would be nice to actually write a picture book now that I have my own children. So that was in 2006. And then I realized how busy you are when you are a mum. So it wasn't until 2013 that I started taking it a bit more seriously and did some picture book courses to learn how to write picture books, because to say you're going to write a picture book is fair enough, but to actually you need the actual skills and the craft to be able to do it as well. So that was about in 2013. I started writing a few picture books, and then in 2016 I submitted my first one. And you always think that's, that it's really great and polished, and then you look back at it now and you go, oh, I can't believe I actually submitted that. So and then my first contract was signed in 2018. So it's been a long process, but I've always loved picture books, and being a teacher as well, I read picture books every day when I'm at school. I try to read at least 2 picture books each day to my classes. And I just thought I would like to write them as well as read them.
Fantastic. Well, thank goodness that you do both, because your books are just wonderful and I enjoy reading them to my children. So you're currently traditionally published with EK Books for your picture books, for your first 2. How have they helped with you gaining reviews for your books? Have they had a hand in getting any for you at all? Or
being a debut author, you don't really know what is expected or what's going to happen. So EK Books, they were very good at guiding me through getting the first book published. And it was through them that I found out about reviews. And I knew about Goodreads as a reader myself, but I didn't realize that you should have a Goodreads author page. So they told me to set that up. So I set that up. My book was already on Goodreads. EK put it on there. And they also suggested that I have an Amazon author page as well. So I set that up. And then they sent out some information about how important customer reviews are on Goodreads and Amazon. So they were the ones that really showed me that reviews are important and that I needed to be a Goodreads author and an Amazon author. And before my book released as well in 2019, I joined a debut group, because a lot of authors, when they first bringing their books out, especially in America, they join other authors on social media and create a group that helps to promote each other and guide each other through the process.
So there's actually a group that's for debut authors specifically, like authors emerging and stuff.
Yeah, well, a call out went on a Facebook page that I'm a member of, asking for other debut authors. And I said, yeah, I'd love to do that. And they sort of capped it at about 20 authors. And then we Zoomed, met, and we're still going now as the Kidlit crew, even though most of us have got our second book out. It's just nice to have somebody out there in social media land that's promoting you. And
that's it. Yeah. And did you all kind of read each other's books and review them as well? Do you read other authors' books as well as in your classrooms, I suppose? And you do reviews as well as receiving them?
Yeah. So part of being in that group was asking each other to review each other's books. So we sent electronic ARCs, which you can ask your publisher for. It's basically the PDF, the final PDF of your story. So you can send that to people and ask them to review it. So we did that as a group, and I reviewed their stories. I was also a part of another debut challenge, Laura Reynolds in America. She encourages people to review debut authors' books, because being a new author, you don't have the following like some other authors don't need to ask for reviews, they get them. So she encourages you to do that. So I purchased a few debut authors' books and I reviewed them. If I ask people to review my book, I review their book as well, because it's like a give and take.
Oh, wonderful.
And I try to review about 5 books a month.
Yeah, being a teacher as well, you read picture books in the classrooms, and do you have your students involved in reviewing as well?
Yeah, last year in my pre-primary, because they know I'm an author, and every time I've read them my books, obviously.
Wonderful.
And every time I read a book, they ask me, did you write that, Mrs. Giltrow? So then I say, no, this author wrote it and I know them. And then I thought, oh, well, I do know these authors. I can message them on Messenger. So then I said to them, okay, well, I'm going to read you this book. And then afterwards, you can tell me what you thought of it. We can do a review. So I'd read them the story. And then afterwards, I'd say, so let's send the author a message. So I'd get out my phone and I'd open up Messenger and I would I could say to them, like, so tell me, what did you think? And then I just type it straight into the message and then send it to the author. Sometimes I'd have to explain that, this author's in America, so it's daytime here, there'll be nighttime there. They might not respond straight away, but generally the authors responded pretty much straight away, and I read that message back to my students.
They must find it so exciting.
Yeah, they do. They find it really exciting, and the authors find it really exciting because you don't often get that feedback straight away from children.
Yeah, straight from the kids. Oh, that's wonderful. Oh, well, it sounds like there's quite a good author community out there who support debuts and helping each other gain book reviews first off. So that's really encouraging to know. How do you advise authors if you get a negative book review or low star ratings of your books? Because I know there's some authors who watch the stars and the reviews like a hawk, and they read everything and they take it all in. And how do you deal with that kind of thing?
I mean, as a reviewer myself, if I read a book and I can't give it a 4 stars or above, I don't do a review. So I would hope that other people would do that as well. I know other authors sort of have that same standard, but there is people out in Goodreads world and the Amazon world that don't. I have seen, some reviews, like it's more the stars, like I've seen 2 stars and I think, oh, well, that's one person's opinion. Mm-hmm. I look at how many 5 stars it's got. So I try to balance it with the good reviews, because I know some people just do bad reviews just to do bad reviews.
Yeah.
Or I've even seen somebody that's given it a star and I've looked at their profile and they've never read a picture book before. So I don't know if they just randomly choose somebody and then just give them, 2 stars. So I think you have to think about where the review is coming from. And I feel that, my friends and my fellow kidlit authors and community, if they like it, that's what's more important than some random person that might not have even read the book.
Yeah. And the kids in your class, obviously, as well.
And the children in my class, exactly. So my friends and family, and I know it's a good book. Yeah, it does. I mean, you do remember it. It's funny, you remember those words probably more than the good things that people say. So I suppose if someone says something bad about the book, you have to read about 20 good reviews of it. You can also use it to improve the next book, I suppose.
Yeah, I suppose it's how much you, like you said, believe of what they're saying, and you could just be like, no, that's totally off. Yeah, I don't know why we've sort of tend to focus on the negative over the positive, maybe because we don't deal with it as often, or I'm not sure. But that's a good tip though, just to focus on all the positive comments rather than just obsessing over the negative ones if you actually do get any. Yeah.
And as an author, you have to be pretty thick-skinned because you get so many rejections before you get a publishing deal. So you're kind of a little bit used to negative things.
Yeah, I just sort of take it that your book's not going to be for everybody, and everybody has different tastes. And, everybody thinks differently as well. So what comes across to one person who connects with your work, and they might have, had a similar experience, especially your book, Bedtime Daddy, and, the role reversal. And it's very cute. And we love it in our household. But yeah, that it might go over the top of somebody's head if other people, So I suppose you have
and it's I read reviews to see how the readers also interpret your story, because you write it one way. But as you said, somebody will read it and interpret it another way. And sometimes people, like in Get Ready Mama, one of the reviewers said, like, the favourite line that she liked in that book was, "It's never too late for cuddles." So you can read those reviews and then you think, oh, that's something that I promote the book. Mm-hmm. I can use their words to promote the book as well, because you're so entrenched in your book, you can't really see it as a whole thing. So reviewers come to it with fresh eyes, so you can use the positives to make you feel good or to promote your book later. Or they see it in a different, that for them it meant this, and
they could even bring something forward about your work that you hadn't perceived in the beginning, and then, like you said, oh yeah, I can use that going forward as well.
That's right. That's exactly right. So
that's great. So what are your tips and tricks for authors looking to get book reviews? So I suppose we're talking about debut authors just kind of starting out, say, with 1 or 2 or 3 books, because like you said, the more established authors know how to get the book reviews, or people are already hooked on their storytelling skills, so they don't need to kind of source them as aspiring authors do in the beginning. So do you have any sort of tips and tricks for authors looking to get book reviews for their work? And can you tell us about what some of the best, like you've mentioned Goodreads, and obviously Amazon's a big one. like the best digital platforms, and if there's any physical media now, I suppose, that authors want to get their reviews in. I suppose by physical media, magazines. And I heard, I don't really read print papers, but is it the West Australia? I thought someone said they're not actually doing book reviews, children's book reviews anymore. Is that right? Or
okay, yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah,
I'm not sure. So for the media reviews, my publisher usually does those. So they send the books to, like the West Australian or the Sydney Herald or the Canberra Times, and then they review them. And often for those books, it's more about, so when Bedtime Daddy came out, they did reviews of Father's Day books. So then they did it like a little section for that. So I'm hoping there'll be like a Mother's Day section that they can review Get Ready Mama in. But for yourself as just an individual, I think the most important thing is to just ask. I know in America, they ask a lot more for reviews over there, and they're not afraid to ask, whereas I've sort of seen some Australian authors that have got Goodreads page, but they don't have many reviews. So I think just ask your family, ask your friends, ask your fans to give you a review. If you're in a community like Squibbie, I mean, I've asked you to give Get Ready Mama
I happily have.
Yeah. Which you have. And so, just ask the people around you. We're all in groups. I mean, there's so many Facebook groups in the Kidlit community. It's a very supportive community. So ask, because people will do it. You just have to get past that thing of, asking for what you want.
Yeah. I mean, I suppose you could feel like you're bothering somebody, I suppose, but not like a picture book, they're so small as well. So it's quite easy for someone to read that and have that. But I suppose for myself, who writes longer, more middle grade, the upper YA and even nonfiction books, I feel to ask somebody to review that, I feel like they'd have to have an interest in the subject matter, because it's quite a chunk of work, or send them an audio file so they can do something else while they're listening as well. Yeah, which makes me
I think it's a good habit. I think if everyone gets into that, you've read, I mean, we're all readers, so we're reading things. Just do a review, and it doesn't have to be long. It can just be 2 or 3 sentences about, what you liked about the book. You can also say something about illustrations if it's a picture book, because trying to remember, illustrators done half of the work as well. So I always try and include them in the review. And then you can just cut and paste the one from Goodreads and put it in Amazon. But the only thing with Amazon is you have to buy the book, or the book has to be released before you can review it.
Right.
Whereas Goodreads allows you to do, like, for Get Ready Mama, I've already got 20 reviews. So they do
like a pre-order reviews or something.
Yeah. So I asked my publisher for an electronic arc of the book, which has usually got a watermark on it, so no one can then send it to a printer and print it before yours is released.
Yep.
And you can send that to your friends and family and fans and community to ask them to review it. And again, you can ask them to exchange, like they can send you one as well. So if you ask, make sure you also give reviews.
What's like for you, what would you like people to touch on with reviews? Like you've said, obviously, the illustrations, and like a good review, if you received it, you must have a review that maybe comes to mind that you're like, oh, I just love that. Is it about how the book kind of made them feel, or what the story's about? Like, what would you want someone to be reviewing your book?
For me, it's probably more about how it made them feel, like the emotions that they got from the reading the story, or if they've read it to their children, because the blurb can tell you pretty much about the book, so that's already written. But just what they got from it that was special.
I think I was a bit confused with the reviews. I have to say, I'm not someone who reads reviews, and I've not been someone who writes a lot of reviews either. And then now that I'm sort of approaching this in my career, I have started, and obviously being asked as well, which is I'm absolutely happy to. So I have offered up reviews, but I did write one for someone and they reused it, but they only reused like one sentence of it. And I kind of felt like I had to go back to my uni days where you critically reviewed the work, so I kind of spilled it in quite a big, I mean, I had said I couldn't put it down because it was wonderful, it was a really good book, but I kind of went on to like big words like, the protagonist this and blah blah blah.
Yes,
and she didn't use any more of that, so I kind of thought, I don't think she liked it at all, and I just thought, oh, maybe that's not the way you're supposed to tackle a review, or how
I think it just keep it personal and emotions rather, because you're not a professional reviewer.
No.
They'll take apart the structure and the arc and just 2 or 3 lines, because if it's too long, then people won't read it. But a good way to see how to review as well is to, as you said, to read reviews of other people's books.
I've heard as well, like you've said yourself, if it was less than 4 stars or 4.5, you wouldn't review it. But this thing floating around like the indie world, or I don't even know if it's the traditional publishing world, that having a few 1-star reviews or 2-star reviews is good because it makes it more, I don't know, the book more relatable or receivable rather than it's all 5 stars, it's all amazing, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, do you think that's a thing? Or
well, I think it's good. It's important to keep review honest and real. So, like you said, some people won't find it a 5-star. So I think that would balance it out, because sometimes I look at a book and go, oh, it's all got 5 stars. There must be friends or family. So it does sort of make it a bit more real if it does have some other stars.
Yeah.
So yeah. And I think that's the important thing, is that just to make it real. So, and another important thing is that since becoming an author, I get messages from people that you can pay to do reviews, and that's sort of a no. Don't pay someone to give you a review, because it's not real.
Yeah, I've actually been getting contacted, and I thought to myself, I don't know what I've ended up on, but it happened all in one day, and it was on Instagram, and there was about 4 or 5 different book reviewers contacting me, direct messaging me, and one of them had really broken English, and they're asking for like $27. They'll review the book, it'll go on their site, but they had massive followers, like they're well into the hundreds of thousands. But I showed it to a guy at my work, and he just sort of scrolled through. He says, I think it could be, I don't think he said it was a bot or anything, but he's like, look at the reviews, look at what people are saying. It's like the same handful of people. And it just felt a bit.
Just sort of, steer away from those, because you don't need to pay for someone to do it. You can, it is tempting, because they say, as you say, they've got so many followers, but then you think, are they, real followers?
So I know, that's what the person at my work said. He said, look at the actual, so they got this many followers, is like, but look at the actual likes the posts are getting and the comments and things. So I just didn't even, and so I thought, no, no, which I felt flattered, but then I was like, oh, no.
Yes, no, that's it.
Yeah. So I know publishing houses, obviously, they send their books out to different magazines and different establishments that they want their book to be reviewed. So if you're going to review a book, I suppose you would expect to receive the book for free to review. So would your tip for you be, if you wanted your book reviewed by a certain person or a certain establishment, send a copy to them and just ask?
If you know someone's sort of an influencer in the Kidlit community, I do ask EK to send them the book to review, but that's more for blogs. Like if they've got they do a blog post. So I do that, like kids book review. I've asked them to send one to them. Some people in America, but that's more to sort of blog post. Whereas Goodreads is just you've read it as an individual. Just tell people what you think about it.
Kind of the places where readers congregate online that offer book reviews of your book is good to kind of have reviews floating around.
Yeah. And I know Better Readings, that would be someone where you would want to send a book to, so they would review it. They have a number of reviewers that review the books there. CBA, you might want to send one to them, review it.
I suppose indie publishers have got to do all the, self-publishing authors have to do all the works for them. And we've mentioned you are traditionally published for your picture books and other books to come, as this is the Hybrid Author podcast. Do you have any thoughts on self-publishing? Have you ever thought about going down that route? Or as you said, it took you quite a while to get to publication, as it does most people?
Yes. I've definitely looked into it, because some manuscripts you have and you just send them and they're good, but they're not what the publisher's looking for. So I have looked into self-publishing some manuscripts that haven't been picked up. I admire people that self-publish, because it would be a lot of work, I should imagine. So it's just, I would find it a little bit, because I work 3 days a week as well, teach. I just don't have the time to self-publish at the moment. So, maybe later, because now I've got my second book out, you sort of, as you're publishing it, you do learn about the process.
Yeah.
So you do get better at looking at the illustrations and saying, can you change this? Can you do that? And I think with self-publishing, for me, the distribution would be a big part of it. That
selling,
yes, and just having the stock. And so, I have looked into it for one.
Was that a picture book, or was that an older?
Yeah, it's a picture book. But I think if I did it, I was going to ask someone to be a mentor for me.
Yep.
That has self-published a lot of books, just to take me through the process.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then there's the hybrid where you pay and they, it's sort of half traditional, half self-publishing.
Yep.
As well. And the same thing, like when you're self-publishing, the reviews and the marketing, you're doing that yourself as well. So that's probably even more important for people that self-publish.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a personality type and obviously a time thing as well, and a situation thing also on which way that you end up going. But yeah, picture books as well would be quite. I've got a friend who's pumping them out at the moment, and she's doing very, very well. She comes from a multimedia design background, so and her sister writes. So together they've kind of teamed up and learned the process, so they're doing really well. But yeah, illustrations to me and formatting of that kind of stuff is so daunting.
Yeah, and you have to have graphic design, I think,
you do need a certain skill set, I think. You can always learn, of course. There's so much information out there now, but yeah, I think that would be quite hard. I don't find it too hard with just full works, like, so anything where there's no illustrations, that's fine.
Yes, yeah.
That's not too bad or too hard, and just black and white or anything like that. So, well, thank you for your expertise so far on the book reviews. We've learned a lot, obviously looking for the online platforms, and you're lucky for yourself, the traditional publisher goes to the establishments for you. What can we expect from you in the future?
Well, I've signed 2 more picture book deals for the next 2 picture books about taking a grandma shopping. So again, it's a role reversal, and taking grandpa to the beach. So that's a role reversal as well. And they're going to be coming out through Dixie Books, which is a UK publisher. And then I've got a early middle grade book coming out through Clear Fork, which is an American publisher, called Samara Rubin and the Utility Belt. So I thought I'd sort of branch out into a wider market. And I've actually enjoyed writing longer work as well. So
wow. So you specifically targeted like the American publishers for that work?
Well, I did a course on how to write a middle grade book, and that was through an American Children's Book Academy. And part of that course is you get to submit to agents and publishers in America if you win a golden ticket. It's like Willy Wonka. So I didn't win a golden ticket then, but then that I saw who the American publishers were. So then when they were open to submissions, I sent the manuscript and they picked it up. So
that's fantastic. Yeah. Did you write that with an American market in mind? Like, is it actually set in America or anything? You haven't formatted it?
It's not really. It's set in a school. So they're 11-year-olds. They go to school. They go to home. So it's very universal for the Western world. So I had a few things in there like Australia's Got Talent. So I've just changed that to a more generic show like Animal Planet or something like that. I had netball in there, so I've taken that out and put basketball. So I had the word doona, which Americans don't know what doonas are. Yeah. So I've taken that out and put quilt in.
Have they asked you to do that, or you've done that?
They asked me to do that just because they said Americans wouldn't know what a doona is. And same with like bathers. I had bathers in there, but they call them swimming costumes. And so it's... and I've had to do it. Well, they've asked me to do it in American spelling.
Yeah. Okay. So. Yeah. Now I'm interested to know because I attended a talk years and years and years ago with AJ Betts on pacing, and she had just done. I think it was the Zach and Mia book, and she was showing all the different countries had different covers, and the Americans had changed a lot of it to be like football to gridiron and all sorts of stuff. So I think like even if they pick up a story, they change it to their sort of landscape, which is fair enough. Yeah, I just always wonder about publishing, like from my experience publishing in Australia and then publishing in America or somewhere else, like they want stories that fit in with their country, their sort of world and culture. So
yeah, I think it's quite good because it was a universal, like it could be anywhere really.
Yeah, that's right.
So that worked quite well. But yeah, the American spelling sort of got me a little bit because I'm thinking, no, I have to, when you're doing your word, change it to American spelling, and then my daughter's like, "Oh, why are you changing it to America?" Like, well, they're the publisher. If an Australian publisher picks it up,
So do you still have Australian rights for it?
Yes, I think I do. So
they'll obviously promote it in America, and you will promote it here. Yes. So how will you go about looking for book reviews for that one then? Will you just go through the normal channels?
Yeah, just do the same. The same thing,
Get in touch with people who have reviewed it and
Yeah. So just exactly, I mean, the world is pretty global
Yes.
I don't think you're restricted to one country, especially if it's kind of a universal story. Yeah. So
can you be strategic as well with like the book reviews in terms of you think about the topics that your book focuses on and you want to get it in front of a certain audience? You can probably approach people who you want. Do you know what I mean? So whatever the book is about, if you want certain establishments or certain readers who are linked with those, those places, you can approach them about it and
and even Goodreads, you can do lists, like you can get your book on a list of like bedtime stories or books about fathers and things like that. So that's another way of doing it. That's the list. So when people Google bedtime stories, yours will come up. But the reason you're trying to get reviews is that Amazon has their algorithm that if there's so many reviews, when people are searching for a book, your book's more likely to come up.
So they're important for algorithms, and obviously do you think they're important for people who buy them, like for people buying them, or
I think so. I think if you're not sure about this book or that book, if you read the reviews, you're more likely to go for that book.
For online sales, probably.
Yeah, definitely. And again, we're a global, people do buy a lot of books online.
Yeah, well, in these current times, yes. Can't really make it into the bookstore sometimes. So that's fantastic, Sharon. Thank you so much for sharing your expertise and your experience with us. Can you tell our listeners where they can discover you and your books to come and offline?
Well, if you're in Perth, I've got a book launch at the end of April at the Literature Centre in Fremantle, 30th of April, Saturday. So if you go to my website, which is www.sharongiltrow.com, you can see where the Get Ready Mum is going to be launched and get a ticket if you want to come in person and celebrate the launch. We're calling it more of a celebration as well at the moment because it's nice to be able to celebrate something.
That's it.
Happy.
Yeah. I've got my ticket.
You got your ticket there. You go.
I'm on it. When something comes out, I get a ticket because with all the cat numbers and things, I've missed out a lot last year.
Yeah, you kind of forget later as well that, and then if you see it, you do it then because you know where to find it. So, but if you go to my website, all my information's there. So
wonderful.
It'd be good to see people in person as well.
Yeah, that's it. Well, congratulations on all your success and thanks again.
Thank you, Jo.
So there you have it, folks. The wonderful Sharon Giltrow sharing her tips on how we can start the ball rolling with gathering reviews for our books. Next time on the Hybrid Author podcast is an interview with TEDx and Forbes speaker Karen McDermott. And Karen's going to be talking to us about all things publishing. She's the publishing powerhouse and founder of Serenity Press, MMH Press, and KMD Books. So that's coming up next time. Have a great fortnight, and it's bye for now. That's the end for now, authors. I hope you're further forward in your author adventure after listening, and I hope you'll listen next time. Remember to head on over to the Hybrid Author website at www.hybridauthor.com.au to get your free author pass. It's bye for now.